Hello, guys, and welcome to the first episode of the DoxCast. I'm your host, Logical Paradox, and I have a fine guest for you guys today. I am here with Mr. Caffeine Rage.
Good evening, I'm Caffeine Rage, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being on the show. Okay, so since this is the first episode, I guess I have to tell you guys how it works. So I have a set of questions to arouse discussion amongst the quote-unquote group of two people that we have today. And yeah, basically we are going to get that going, and I will start that now and stop rambling. Okay. A popular conception recently has been that most next-gen games and consoles have flopped after release, or been released too early. What do you have to say? And what are your views, Mr. Caffeine Rage?
Well, I think it's just part of the natural console cycle at this point, that the developers are just trying to rush everything out to try to get the big console seller. Especially for Microsoft. Microsoft is the one that really needs the console seller right now. And I think that's why we are getting so many games that are kind of half-baked when you get down to it.
I like this one because, it was just like this with the last generation of consoles. Like, at the very beginning when they were first released. So, Halo 3 comes out for Xbox 360. Super hyped. And what does it do? Well, it's awesome now on today's standards, but everyone's just like, oh, this was released too early. The gameplay is not good enough for us, when that was like top of its time. So, like, maybe 3-4 years down the road, Destiny and things like that, like Call of Duty Ghosts, will be considered revolutionary. We don't know. We're not from the future.
Well, also, part of it is that it's the console cycle, once again, is that towards the end of a cycle, you are getting all of the tricks to eke out every bit of performance. And right now, at the very beginning of the new cycle, the developers are kind of clueless at what they're doing. I hate to call them clueless because they're obviously professionals, but they are not getting the performance that they could out of these machines.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at Ubisoft. They announced recently the whole thing with Assassin's Creed Unity that's going to be 900p and 30 FPS, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
If that released later in the cycle, that would have no problem being in 1080p. At least I hope. The Xbox One could be holding things back to that degree. I don't know.
There's like a major issue if the Xbox One can't support 1080p and 60 FPS, in my opinion.
Well, it's more the developers want to make everything so shiny and so brilliant that they're gimping their gameplay to do so, which is getting completely off topic, by the way.
Yeah. But it's good that you mentioned that gameplay. Like, people are focused on gameplay and graphics and story, and they don't focus on the root of the game, which is playability, basically, or the experience.
You get to racing games that are trying to run 30 FPS, and it just doesn't feel all that good.
Yeah, but, it's that these games with lower performance could later lead to the improvement to games that are like 120 FPS and that are in 4K.
Basically saying that you have to walk before you can run.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. Hello, our other guest is here, Mr. Richard from Pewpel Gaming, which was my group Let's Play channel for a while. Hello, Richard. Say hello to people.
Hi, people.
Is he even recording right now?
He's not recording. You might want to get into Audacity right now. As we head into question 2. Okay. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is scheduled to release on November 4th. Do you think it is going to be a game that people should get early or wait until a few days after it is released? Because Ghosts was super hyped and it just dropped the ball. It was awful. Gameplay.
Well, especially for me, I'm a PC gamer, and the port for Ghost was hilariously bad.
It was awful.
It was stuttering in menus. Granted, I'll freely admit I never played Ghost, but I've watched some of the gameplay footage, and especially Total Biscuit's footage, and the fact that his videos were stuttering when he was recording that in the menus, it just tells you how bad that port was.
I mean, I actually did play some of Ghost. I played it on the Xbox One, which I am currently on, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought the story was pretty decent for making a completely new story that had to stand by itself and not being related to any of the other Call of Duty series so far.
Exactly. But story-wise, Ghosts, I think, personally, was one of the best, honestly. It had potential. It was a great story. But the fact that it stuttered everywhere and the gameplay was just so bad that you couldn't even go 3 feet without being killed because of bad netcode and lagginess, basically, because of Infinity Ward servers.
Steven, you only ever played it on the 360, didn't you?
Yes, I did only play it on 360, though.
Whenever I was playing it on this, it didn't seem to have that problem at all, so it could be assumed that the issue was with the build. It may have been built originally for next-gen console, and it did have next-gen exclusive features.
Yeah, but that doesn't really explain the stutterness and all the bad performance on PC.
Well, it really does, though, because next-gen consoles running up to 60 frames and they're on 64-bit support, where Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, they only run on, I believe, up to 32-bit support and at a lower frames per second. And then also, on PC, I don't know why it would be stuttering on PC. That's a bit odd, in my opinion.
I mean, Grant, I did watch the footage I saw. Like I said, I didn't play it. Was pretty soon after release, so maybe they patched it and actually got it working halfway decently. But
no.
It was terrible looking.
It's awful. Just a pure, in my opinion, it was a waste of resources. Like, human resource, you know? People wasted their time making that game to release it too early before all these bugs were fixed.
Well, the Call of Duty franchise relies on getting a new copy or new iteration of that franchise out every November.
Every November, yeah.
It's a yearly franchise. It's practically Madden at this point. I mean, and when you get down to it, it's almost a sports game. They are pushing these out at a yearly basis. The only difference between this and an actual sports game is that they kind of staggered the developers to give them a little bit more time, but it is still a yearly release.
Yeah, exactly. But the yearly release pressures them to go and put it together faster and more recklessly. And they leave bugs in. And sometimes the multiplayer isn't that great either. My opinion.
I mean, quite honestly, with any AAA title ever, there have been bugs in it everywhere, but saying that it had a
Like
lot
Destiny.
of bugs is really nothing. Like comparing it to games like Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 has been
Oh man, Battlefield
terrible
4.
since its release.
They patched it. It's actually playable now.
Recently got patched, and it's only slightly more playable. I did try to play it the other day.
I tried to play it.
Copy of it.
I've actually gotten back into it. I am enjoying Battlefield 4 now. My personal playing of it. But yeah, back to what you were saying.
I quite honestly, after the first Battlefield game that I played was Battlefield 3, or at least played on a large scale, was Battlefield 3. So I don't exactly have a lot of room to talk for the entire franchise, but I really thought that Battlefield 4 dropped a massive ball, and then after dropping that, it took them a year and more time to even try to fix what they did.
Yeah.
And now they're moving on to Battlefield Hardline instead of continuing trying to fix
Battlefield Hardline
4.
was actually set to release to the public yesterday.
Did it?
They pushed the release date back by a year.
Oh,
See, I didn't hear about that one.
Well, if they're pushing it back a year, that could be a good thing. They could have time to fix things that need to be fixed.
Yeah, delays are usually a good thing. Not always, because, well, we have the Duke Nukem Forever example
And
to
Watch
prove that.
Dogs.
Well, I wasn't going to touch Watch Dogs. That's hitting below the belt.
Yeah, Watch Dogs was it was something.
Richard, you never played Watch Dogs. Come on.
I played it once or twice.
I've
Okay.
held off on playing it, but considering that they locked away a lot of features on the PC version that modders have since found and turned on and it actually improves the game while making it look better, it's just hilarious.
But back to the original question. Do you think that Advanced Warfare will be a game that people should get right away, or wait a few days?
Well, for me, it's the simple question of should you pre-order, and the answer is, well, no.
Never pre-order.
Let's just
Because
put it
you
this
could
way,
get screwed over.
Yeah, I've recently broken a pre-order embargo I've had that ran for 2.5 years.
Oh, man.
And it's for an indie game. So
The only game that I ever pre-ordered was Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And it didn't live up to Melee, so I ended up sending it back. It was still a great game. I traded it back into GameStop. But
yeah, I think pre-ordering an indie title is kind of different from pre-ordering a AAA title, especially when it comes to the price tag.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's just, you really shouldn't pre-order at least AAA titles because they are just a huge gamble. It's a lot easier to write off a $10 or $15, maybe even a $20 game if it comes out and it completely sucks. But a full $60 title, especially if you go all in and get the season pass or the hardened edition or whatever that you're wanting to call it, is just a huge, huge risk.
it's always a risk. I mean, you don't know what you're gonna get. Unless, you're a beta tester or something.
And even beta testing isn't exactly all that useful these days. I mean, well, beta testing nowadays is basically the demo.
Yeah.
I mean, some companies actually know what they're doing when it comes to beta testing, but other companies like Battlefield, how they had
DICE.
a 2-week beta. Well, DICE, when they had the 2-week beta for Battlefield 4, they had the 2-week beta, but quite honestly, when I played the beta, I liked it more than the actual game.
Okay.
Well, there was the beta for the Crew not too long ago, and they actually pushed back the Crew, what was it, a month? Based on some of the results from that beta.
Well, also beta embargoes that have been going on. Like, they refuse to put out an open beta and allow people to put out views until the day before. Stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that's completely reasonable though, because companies don't want any of their information or news about a game released, which is fine in my opinion.
Usually those games end up sucking, though.
Well, not necessarily. I know that I can think of plenty of indie developed games and also like mostly PC games that they don't release any of the information until the day before, the day of even, that come out fine, and they actually come out great, and the community really loves it. They tend to be with smaller communities, but the community that it's like searching for really enjoys it.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about general review embargoes or recording beta? I mean, those are two separate things, and really,
like,
review embargoes are a completely different beast. That's more to force the reviewers to spend time on the game instead of rushing through and putting out their review first to get all those precious views.
Oh yeah, and that makes sense too, because quite honestly, if you're releasing a review of a game that you've only just touched into, your first impressions might not be great. Like with Shadow of Mordor, when I started playing that, I honestly didn't think it was that great of a game. I didn't think that the story was great until I really got into it. About like 4 missions into the main story, it became just an amazing title that I couldn't stop playing until I got to the end, and I wanted to finish it. I was like, I want to know what happens here.
I honestly haven't played that yet, but from what I've seen, it looks like one of the best Lord of the Rings games that is out there that has ever been released.
Oh yeah.
Can you easily say that?
It could easily take that title, I'm sure.
The best?
Yeah, I don't know how it'll do on Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, because I know that the problem with those, since their engines can only support so much, what they had to do is they had to kind of almost nerf the enemy system. And the enemy system is really what made the game...
The Nemesis system?
People. Yeah, the system. It's what made the game for a lot of people. It's such an amazing, like, new interpretation of how enemies can be produced, and they're all procedural, so you don't get the same person twice, like basically almost ever, and each person has a memory and they memorize events that occur, so if you attack them and you lose, they'll remember that you died or you ran away, and they'll make fun of you for it next time.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's a really good point. I don't know how to counter that. So,
well, part of it is that we're once again in between console generations, so we get these weird mix-ups between building for current systems and building for the last generation. So you get these weird 2 versions of Shadow of Mordor, for example.
Yeah. Okay. Shall I continue with the discussion? Okay. Grand Theft Auto 5 is scheduled to release to PC on January 27th, 2015, after being set back 3 times since last year, and it's promising to have much better graphics and gameplay than on console. What do you guys think? Will this widen the PC and console split? Or what?
Well, the general nature of consoles and PCs is going to widen that split regardless of the game that comes out. The console is going to be a static system. This isn't the 90s. We're not going to get a 32X or an expansion pack for these consoles. We are going to have the same hardware until the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox, whatever the hell number they come up with, because it seems like Microsoft has their own weird numbering system. I'm betting on the Xbox 42, by the way.
42? Why 42?
Because it's the answer to life, universe, and everything. I mean, that Microsoft has this whole thing with the Xbox One, how they wanted it to be the one, and everybody started calling it the X-Bone. Why not call it 42 and just cut to the chase? But that's getting away from the point. The gameplay on the... Yeah, the gameplay is an interesting question because really, and I hate to put it this way, but PC gameplay is really shackled by what a controller could do, even though a controller is not necessarily the best option for PC gaming for a lot of genres.
Why do you think that?
Well, there's only so many buttons on a controller. You start getting weird combinations, or you start having multiple controls on a single button that changes depending on the context of the situation.
Mortal Kombat, prime example of that.
Well, I was going to bring up a game I'm Let's playing right now, the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. It's an action RPG, but the action bar is limited to 4 slots.
Yeah.
Which is a ridiculously small number for an action RPG. It's heavily consoleized in that respect. And that's part of what I'm talking about whenever I'm talking about how consoles shackle PCs when it comes to gameplay. Because you're not going to have developers make a completely different PC version. I mean, I would love it, but it's just not going to happen. Getting UIs for PCs in general is really rare. Just the fact that Dragon Age is going to have a unique UI for the PC is exceptionally rare. Because usually you have these consoleized UIs where everything's huge, where you could read it halfway across the room, even though on a PC you're sitting right at the monitor half the time.
You never know, like, it could have a completely different control scheme from console. It could have its own, it's not even compatible with a controller, but that would be stupid because so many people have controllers for their PC. But
yeah, I mean, I have one. It could just be old squeaky.
Map your things, your controls for the specific thing to a mouse button or spacebar, control, shift, things like that, like Minecraft. And the prime example that I have been watching recently is Alien Isolation, even. But I know a lot of games do that, but they have such wide control schemes, and you can just map them out.
I have something to say about the original topic about it's how you said that they pushed back the release date 3 times. Now,
yeah.
Is that really true to say that they pushed back the release date 3 times?
It's probably better to say it's 2 since it.
The only times that I've heard any news about GTA 5 coming to the PC is, I think about a month ago, and they didn't really make it seem like it was...
They were hyping it up fall of last year to come out on PC.
People
a lot of that was
speculating that
it was speculation.
Fall, but it wasn't, proven that it would. It was all, hey, this game's going to come out in the fall, right, because it came out on Xbox, it better be coming out
actually, that's not quite true. There was some evidence of that. People were diving into the files and were finding hooks for DirectX and very PC-specific stuff, which means that there had to be some sort of port.
Those files doesn't necessarily mean that it's coming out in a certain time frame. It could be coming out 10 years later, for all you know.
Yeah,
I mean, or it could be like Red Dead Redemption, where it will never come out, and it was just hooks that they were originally putting in. But I would say it's probably
know about that. I thought Red Dead Redemption was across everything.
No, it never came to PC.
Never came to PC.
Supposedly the source code's just such a huge mess that they would have to completely rewrite the game.
Oh wow!
At least that's what I always heard. That's what I always heard, at least. But getting back to GTA 5, it's really only been delayed really once, but the people treat it like twice because they set the PC version aside from the next gen release, mostly just to get more sales out of it. I mean, let's be frank here.
Oh,
yeah.
They're trying to get the most money out of this game, so they're having 3 major releases when it really, in theory, it really only needed one, but it really only needed one. But let's be honest, that they would at least do 2 to try to get the old and then the new and then the next gen
console, and then it would be console of last gen and next gen, and then PC is what I was thinking with the 2. But yeah, I guess what you're saying, like last gen and PC and then to next gen, like that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's just kind of odd that they separated the PC away from the next gen this much, or I should say the current gen. I actually don't like using the term next gen unless we're talking about PlayStation 5.
Yeah. Why is that?
It's been a year now.
It's been a year now. So now it's officially current gen.
I mean, it really is, though, if you think about it.
Yeah.
I think the big thing about it, though, is that when you're releasing a game on multiple platforms, I can understand why you would not want to release it at the same time, because not only to maximize sales, but also if a whole bunch of people go out and buy it on, say, PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360, and then they go on the internet or they tell their friend, oh, you don't want to get it, it's not good. Their friend might have an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 and they don't get it on that because they assume it's not good on that either, when it could very well be much better on that because it's optimized for that system.
But, well, yeah, Richard, what you're saying, optimization for the specific platform is everything, and I completely lost my train of thought, so I will hand this over to Caffeine Rage now.
Well, you were talking about optimization, and that's really why the PC version's probably pushed back. At least I'm hoping it will be. Because, well, let's get back to GTA 4. GTA 4 was a complete mess on PC.
Oh, absolutely.
It ran horribly. I mean, let's not touch the gameplay, because the gameplay was a weird removal from the GTA 3 trilogy, where they tried to go more realistic, and then it didn't really work all that well.
It was,
but you needed a real powerhouse of a PC to be able to play GTA 4, and even today, it could stutter and have problems. Not counting all the issues that you have with games for Windows Live.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was phenomenal for console, but it was absolutely terrible for PC, which probably made the split between console and PC master race people.
Are you jealous of my golden hair?
I'll play on either, but that's aside. It just furthered the split because of the whole optimization, and PC has been getting screwed over with gameplay but better graphics, basically.
Well, also, you get the whole thing where the PC and the current gen consoles are now on basically the same architecture. So really there's not that much reason to have this wide split outside of some extra optimization for direct. I'm not even sure if the consoles could run DirectX, but the more PC-centric systems, more options, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Shall I continue to the next question?
Well, Richard, do you have anything to add?
No, I can't really think of anything at the moment.
Okay. And
It doesn't matter.
You're good, Caffeine?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. On to next. The new Smash Bros. Was released for 3DS on October 3rd, but has been pushed back for Wii U by Nintendo, the corporate heads, and to, quote, further optimization for Wii U.
There's the word of the day again.
Pushed back 3 weeks. How do you think this will affect gamers that thrive on Super Smash Bros?
Well, simple. They have to wait.
Yep.
Well, Super Smash Brothers is a really unique fighting game when you get down to it. So there's really not a lot of options to go to with another a game of that type. I mean, am I wrong on that? I actually did a little bit of...
Absolutely right.
I did a little bit of digging, and the only thing I could find even remotely close to it is just a couple really niche indie games on PC.
Yeah.
And even then, you're not going to have the licensed characters that everybody knows and loves. So that takes away a lot of the appeal of it. And Nintendo's in a really interesting spot anyway, that they are kind of in their own little sandbox almost. And they're cut off from the rest of the console wars between Sony and Microsoft. They have their own little audience that they don't really have to worry about losing all that much. As long as they get a Mario game, a Zelda game, a Mario Kart game, and a Smash Brothers game, they'll be happy.
Yeah. But gamers for Wii U, I know you just covered this, they're basically in an outrage right now about this. But they're getting, as Nintendo says, a much better game than was on 3DS. 3DS was a bunch of freaking button mashing for basically everything.
Well, didn't they just announce today that they're having 8-player brawls on the Wii U?
8-player brawl? I did not hear about that.
I think I read about that just today. I mean, granted, I'm not a huge Nintendo guy. At least not anymore. I used to be. But I'm pretty sure that they announced that there's going to be 8-player fights. So that's actually a pretty huge reveal.
That, I think, well, hearing that, that's probably going to be huge. Like, it's going to be
Yeah, I'm looking around right now, making sure I'm not mistaken on that, actually.
That's a great online aspect. It'd be good for parties. It'd be good for playing online with your friends. Just people are too narrow-minded, basically.
They want the instant gratification.
Yeah.
Super Smash Brothers Wii U has 8-player fights on gigantic battlefields.
Nice. Like,
I was just wanting to make sure I could confirm that.
What they want, and they want it now, basically.
And which brings me back to what I said before. Usually, delays are a good thing. I mean, you don't want to have to wait for a patch.
No.
Usually, sometimes.
Usually, sometimes. Yep, that's a new thing. Richard, do you have anything to add?
Well, I mean, it's like Caffeine said. If they're going to delay it, they're going to delay it. You don't have any say in it, whether you want to or not. Quite honestly, if they're going to optimize it for you and they actually do a good job of it, you're going to be happy they did in the end. So if you're whining about it, it's really not a big deal. 3 weeks? That's not that long.
Welcome to the world of the PC gamer.
I can understand if it was 5 months that they were setting it back and you'd been like preparing for this and like getting all hyped about it.
Take your vacation days.
And then they just like go and crap on your entire dream by setting it back 5 months.
Crap on your life. Just why you do this? But is that all we have for that last topic?
I don't really have anything to add. Like I said, it's almost a closed loop, that the Nintendo system. So they just have to wait. It's really just that simple.
Yeah. And
as much as they hate to do so.
Completely irrelevant. But Nintendo has been just pooping all over their great public relations recently. They've been claiming videos on YouTube and where they're mentioned even like things on IGN they've been claiming, so ads on there go to them. So they've been basically out for all the money they can get, and that's just screwing their PR.
Yeah, I think Total Biscuit talked about this a year or two ago, where they had a podcast claimed by Nintendo because they played a trailer in it. One of their video podcasts for Polaris, where they had a trailer played in it for less than 30 seconds, and they claimed the rights for the entire video. But that gets to the whole how broken copyright is on the internet to begin with, especially on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I have nothing to add on this because it's just a complete outrage that they just...
Well, we're 3 YouTubers, so of course we're going to have a bad feeling for copyright claims by Nintendo.
Out and basically stealing money from YouTubers that are trying to promote them. They came out recently and said that Twitch was boring, quote unquote, and
I didn't hear that
nobody watched things on Twitch to promote their games.
Yeah, but then you're getting into the whole...
This was before E3.
This is going to sound really racist. The Japanese sentiment of how game...
Eastern, basically.
Well, I was going more the Japanese sentiment because of they're a Japanese company.
Yeah.
At least I'm pretty sure they're a Japanese company.
Yep.
I don't want to assume because Nintendo has a very, very long history. They're actually the oldest company in video games, if I recall correctly.
They are indeed.
But does that really count since they originally were a playing card company?
They have cars also.
Well, I think their original thing was just playing cards and little games like that, and they evolved over the last century and a quarter.
Just all kinds.
There's this whole mindset with there's this whole mindset with the Japanese where it has to be a formal thing, where it's done by these huge advertising corporations, and they don't see the use of the grassroots movement. They don't see the use of a random YouTuber playing their games and showing off how cool the new Mario game is, for example, because they have millions and billions of dollars invested in Mario, building up his brand. So they don't see the worth of having, Joe Smo playing it on YouTube.
Or, like, even these big names, like, if Pewdiepie played it, I bet they wouldn't claim it then.
Pewdiepie is a force of nature at this point. I mean, he's the most followed he's the most followed person on YouTube.
He's a runaway train that cannot be stopped.
Yeah, which it would be an interesting discussion because there's some things that I just don't care about for him, but I do respect him.
You gotta respect him. I mean, he has done so much to earn the respect from every other YouTuber out there. Every other person out there. He is a household name. 36,000, I believe, subscribers. And
I think he has a little bit more than 36,000.
He proved that a gaming channel could be the most successful channel on YouTube.
Let's just double check. He's at 31.6 million subscribers.
31.6 million subscribers?
Yeah, I could give you the current number. 31,679,318 subscribers.
Oh my god.
What's his average subscribe rate per day?
1 subscriber a second.
I have no idea what his average subscribe rate is. I would love to know what his some of his the stats are. You know, how far people watching his videos, his retention rating.
I bet it's pretty high. I mean, so many people watching it. The people that watch it for short amounts of time are probably overshadowed by long periods of time. People.
I mean, he had his own Humble Bundle a while back.
Yeah.
I mean, that just says how far he's gone.
Absolutely. Well, do we have anything else to add, guys?
Can't say I do.
Okay, Caffeine.
Nothing here.
How about you?
No, nothing to add.
Well, I guess with that, that's all the time we have for today. Don't forget to follow our guests on YouTube. Guys, if you would like to give out your YouTube, Twitter, all the things that they can follow you at.
Richard, go first. Ladies first, after all.
Well then,
Sorry.
I suppose if you would like, you can go watch Pewpel Gaming's channel. We don't have exactly a lot.
Pewpel Gaming, the best channel ever.
Oh yeah. We don't exactly have a lot to the channel at the moment.
Skyblock.
The
Skyblock.
which were uploaded last year.
Skyblock.
Since then, we have not
Skyblock.
uploaded. Yes, we have Skyblock.
There you go.
Since then, we haven't uploaded anything. We kind of had a bit of a falling apart, so I wouldn't exactly expect much from that.
Yeah.
Until a much later date.
Me, Richard, and Alex are like the only ones that actually use Skype still. So they're gonna be the only ones that will probably guest on here. If I can get Zane in, I will.
Oh, I guess I'm chopped liver
He's
then?
very popular in the Pewpel Gaming community of 10 subscribers. But I will do what I can. Okay, Caffeine.
And I'm at Gaming with Caffeine Rage. I'm a PC-centric channel, and I've been going for about 7 months now.
Woo,
Jumping
7
around.
months.
Yeah, I've been jumping around a bunch of different genres. Right now I'm doing a puzzle game and an action RPG.
Oh,
It's a...
wide variety.
I'm usually running at least two series at once, because I'm a madman like that.
And what's your Twitter?
Gaming _with_CR.
Okay. And you can find me on Facebook. Logical Paradox. Sorry, being dramatic. On Twitter, I am at Logical Paradox 1. On Facebook, I am Logical Paradox HD. It'll be a like page. And I have my own subreddit, Logical Paradox, where DoxCast and things from my main channel go up. So, I guess, thank you guys for tuning in to the first episode of the DoxCast. And hopefully I will see you guys next time. Say bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.